Yes, it's true. I've been following the news, and I saw the initial report on the collapse of the Metropol building in Abadan, and certainly have our condolences for the people of Iran and the people of the city where this happened. These things happen in the United States as well. We had a building that you might have seen on the news that collapsed in the state of Florida that killed many people. And that was an older building. But the building inspectors had gone there and they were aware that the building needed repairs, and the repairs were going to cost quite a bit of money. And the housing people that were in charge of the building were aware of the costs and that the repairs needed to be made. And they were arguing amongst each other about how expensive it could be to repair the building. While this was happening and going on for a while, the building collapsed. And in the collapse of the building, the loss of life in Florida and the amount of money that it takes to clean up the collapsed building and the damage that had occurred was way, way more expensive than what it would have cost them to make the repairs in the first place, let alone the emotional and spiritual trauma that everybody experienced, let alone the outrage and the mixed feelings of anger about not having taken care of the problem at the beginning. So the Americans and the Iranians have a similar tragedy here with the collapse of the building in Abadan, in the province of Khorasan, in that area. And what we see here is that the amount of money that might have allegedly been paid out in bribes to the people to cover up the fact that the building inspectors had said that they couldn't have more floors on the building, and the amount of money that would have been made had they sold the floors is less than the amount of cost of the catastrophe that's taken place. That the calamity and the loss of life and the buildings next door and the emotional and spiritual trauma on the people, and then seeing how the government responds to the needs of the people in the wake of the disaster just adds insult and frustration and to the injury that takes place in the first place. So had they made the corrections, if they wanted to have extra floors and they were able to make the building stronger and spend more money on better materials, or if because of where the building was located, engineeringly speaking, it was impossible to add more floors safely, then of course the people should either spend the money to make the thing safe or not build things that are unsafe in the first place that caused so much more damage and more money and more pain and more hurt in the long run. The truth is that if a human being or groups of people are going to build something or come together for a group endeavor or make a building, they should try to make the best product and the best thing that they can to benefit and serve the people that would use the building for housing or office space. That the real root of these problems is has to be a shift in our thinking from being just plain materialistic and greedy for the love of money and things like this, to switching over to the love of people and wanting to make our cities better for the citizens in which they live and have a happier and a greater subjective well-being in our community. So a calamity like this, in a way, it's absolutely horrible, and the people would like justice, but the ultimate form of justice is to stop these corrupt practices and to spend more money, even if it's going to cost a lot more, to do something correctly and right to help the people and make things better. So hopefully this is a lesson that both Iran and the United States can learn from, in Florida and Abadan, that everywhere in the world where the people live, that their leaders and the government people and the people in construction and the ones who manage these buildings need to have a heart where the bottom line isn't just money and paying bribes and things like this, but the bottom line is human life and human happiness and the betterment of the human beings that we are building the building for. So we have to have a shift from being materialistic in this way to being spiritual. And by spiritual, I mean loving and kind and caring and trustworthy and accurate and scientific, and using our intellectual and abstract powers of physics and engineering to build safe and beautiful buildings for the people in the areas where we live, so that these type of tragedies can be avoided. So certainly my personal condolences and the condolences of our worldwide Baha'i community go out to our brothers and sisters in Iran who are suffering through this collapsed building tragedy that's taken place. And we'll say prayers for the departed as well. And I hope this will cause a turn of the tide, so that people can, instead of causing more disunity in the country, would cause unity in the country to come together and decide to do things better and more appropriately. And of course, this is the view of the religious leaders in both the United States and Iran, that the business people and government people should be servants to humanity and serve God by doing things the best that they can in the best ways that are available to them. And I hope that this works out for the best for everybody involved. And a horrible tragedy and loss of life for the people and who had friends and family and loved ones that perished in this calamity. But may their loss of life be meaningful to change these type of policies, so that these type of meaningless calamities based on greed will not continue in the future.